Here I am again. I can't get away from this place. It's wood turning. And wood turning, with this much turning, we're always going to duplicate. Hopefully, with each duplication, we either focus on something else, we show you something different, we teach you a technique, or we come up with something that is a little different. This one is not all that different. It's going to be somewhat of another. I'm thinking. I don't know what I'm thinking. You know something? I'm going to make this one develop. But I look at it's a bowl. What I'm looking at as a piece. It's a bowl. It's not going to be a bowl. Let's get started. Got it mounted between centers, and it's a half log of a piece of carrot wood, and I'm going to shape this area up. I'm not going to be able to make a mortise, so I'm going to make a tenon because I'm just in between centers. I'm not in a worm screw or anything like that. Although I could very well put this on a worm screw and allow me a little bit more flexibility. Now, I don't feel that I'm endangering anything by the way I have it mounted, but you are limited to what you do with the outside coming up against this live center. So actually, you know something? I'm going to do that. Since I already centered this, I'm going to mark it more or less so I come up fairly close to the same center that I got. So I'm going to remove it. Drill it right in the middle over there, and then start hollowing it out. Now the only thing that I got in my mind for certain is that this is not going to be a bowl. So with keeping that in mind, I am seeing, but how is it going to develop? How deep is my piece? Do I have enough room to come up with a wide bottom bottle of some sort? And that's in the area that right now I'm kind of leaning into. I'm not sure, but I might even leave a little bit of this. I might. I know that it's offset, it's only on one side, but that's okay. I just don't know if I'm going to have it by the time I get all these tool marks and this completely in the shape, the contour that I want. And of course, on this area right here, well, I can't grip it on either a mortise or a tenon on the bark. So I have to remove the bark area enough, at least to get to this part of the wood, to the sapwood, in order to be able to mount it. So I got a little work to do, a little bit shaving off on the bottom over here close to my live center, and start throwing this up and start building up base over here. I also know I got a lot of checking on this piece. And the checking that I got here is not something that I was looking forward to having. It's one of those cases, I wish it was not there. But I don't believe in tossing a piece of wood just because it took on some characteristics from nature. Some of this is avoidable, or would have been avoidable, had I taken some precautions early on when I got the wood. And by the way, this is carrot wood. This is the same stuff of that amazing piece that I just did yesterday. But not the mate per se from the same branch. This is from much further up on the tree than what I got. But anyway, that shape and that bark, now I don't have a flat part. I have just a little bit of the coloration and it looks good. Yeah, stuff some sawdust in those little crevices. If it wants to go in, fine. Because I'm not going to go much deeper than this on the turn. So all I want is this edge to be somewhat filled up. And I believe I got that. Now, turning in reverse would cut these flap overs really nice. And I'll be able to do that towards the end. Right now, I'm ready to make my tendon. Oh, my mortise. This one is going to be a mortise. And I'm going to put it in expansion mode. That looks pretty good, nice and clean on the cuts. I don't think this is going to be problematic. I do see the white sapwood just on the bottom of this. So I should have enough grip and I'm not too thin over here where it's going to pot up. But all that is dependent on how aggressive I get when I get to this side and if I'm not in between centers. So oops, I gotta take it off the worm screw first. But not being in between centers would definitely make that split off, especially if the piece is still unbalanced, which it is at the beginning. So yes, I'm going to be between centers throughout a lot of this turning. And I always apply a good amount of pressure on this. Now this is where the fun starts, because up to now basically it's just cutting wood, making shapes. something else that I want you to know as a great tool. It's always good. I mean, I'm not using it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with using reference pieces, inspiration pieces, pieces from books, pieces that you have around the house. If you have something that's porcelain or glass in your house and you really like its shape, I mean, bring it out to your workshop and duplicate that. There's nothing better than doing such a thing. And it improves your skill level quite a bit, because you're not trying to come up with something that is completely being developed as you're working, but being working with something that you recreate. And let somebody else do the thinking of what shapes are pleasing. You know, we all have different tastes, and sometimes it's not even the taste. Sometimes it's not the taste that dictates what we do. Sometimes it's just a matter of your way of thinking, on how your mindset. And mindset, when it gets locked in, it's not a good thing, because you're not exploring a lot of different ideas. And I feel that I'm locked up sometimes. I come out here and I have no idea of what to do, and yet I come up and it kind of becomes similar scene, something similar, almost like a signature, and not intentional, but to some of my work. You know, because your eye brings you in a certain direction, and you see certain shapes better than others, and you become more used to that specific shape or whatever it is that keeps you going in that route. Now, if you look at this, you say, yeah, you've done this before. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's not that I've done this before, but I've done the shape, the overall feel. So it's an area that I tend to go to unless I'm doing a vase or a bowl of some sort. It really does become that. We become too used to something, and our mind and the way we look at things, we kind of seem to go in that usual pattern. It's I'm not saying this in comparison, okay, so please don't take this, because I'm not considering myself to be any type of an artist on this. I am saying, for the simple fact that if you look at a painting, a Michelangelo or Picasso, or there's always a symmetry or colors or whatever that says, okay, that's a Picasso, or that's a Michelangelo, or that's a Rembrandt, or whatever. And I'm using these famous artist names in just for the lack of not knowing who else I could refer to that could be used as a judgment on this. Well, anyway, I got this little bead over here, this little lump, and I thought that was a nice touch that I wanted to do. So I gotta clean up this part right here and clean up the bead slightly. So I'm going to use my parting tool and get a little bit of refining on that. Now I don't want it to go flat into the neck. I don't want that. I just wanted that clean cut at the very bottom of it. So I'm gonna go with my gouge and clean up that edge in there. Okay, well, I think, at least I think, that the shape looks okay. The wood grain, the coloration on this piece is really nice, really nice. But it's time to help it along with a little bit of sanding. Now I'm just getting it more or less. Final sanding will be at the end. But I want to see if I'm going to have to make any cutting over here, and I don't think so. I think I like it the way it is. I don't see any real gouges, tool marks, anything like that that would be problematic, other than these two lines that I just saw over here, and that could have very well been from the sandpaper itself. So it's time to go in here and start hollowing it out. But anyway, it's a nice piece, and you can see that finish. That finish is awesome. Take care. See you again.